So most YouTubers would have you believe that the weapons are only good for PvP, and if it's not good in a PvP match, then it's not good at all. But like most games, PvP is just a portion, and in a lot of cases it's a small portion. So let's focus a little bit on what these guns can do outside of a match against other players. Let's jump into the heart of most games. Let's look at a little player versus environment. In this case, we're going to jump into a strike, and we're going to see what the Vanguard has to offer. Tell us about what you got there, Tex, and what the perks are.
Well, I'm going to try out this How Dare You hand cannon. I've always been a fan of hand cannons, but never really figured out why they have such a low impact version of them. But this one's got decent rolls on it, I guess. Hot swap, rifle barrel, hidden hand. We'll see how it does.
Next up, looks like you got the fusion rifle. I'm running one of those as well.
Yeah, the good old the Conundrum X Astris here. It's got hip fire and rangefinder on it, so depending on how I want to fire it, I guess it's got a little bit of something for everything.
You can't lose. If you've watched some of our videos before in the Crucible, you've seen me use the Continental Auto Rifle, which is by far one of my favorites. This model, we're using the OEG scope. It has Rodeo or Eye of the Storm. We're going with Rodeo. It's got braced frame or a pen and magazine. You would think that braced frame would be the absolute way to go because of the almost maxed out stability, but it kills the cartridge size down to 29. I like that 45. Final perk is Counterbalance. Rodeo and Counterbalance together actually make it fire a lot more smoothly than the stability perk would let you believe. I'm also carrying the X Astris, running the reflex sight. I also have hipfire and rangefinder for those panic and planned out moments. But instead of small bore, I'm running perfect balance, which gives me a little less stability and range than Tex's version. So I'll be interested to see whose ends up coming out a little bit better. So let's rep the Vanguard. Let's jump into this strike and see how these things perform against the environment. We're just using a regular Siva Crisis playlist, so no burn, nothing special. Pick what you like and test them out. Here we go. Keep in mind, none of these that we're using are vendor-sold versions. These are all from level up packages. So this isn't. I don't think
anybody in their right mind would buy a How Dare You.
Right.
Oh, Ogre.
Real clean.
Oh no, this gun isn't doing that bad though. It's actually pulling decent hit damage.
This gun is so nice and stable, and that's one of the tricky things to kind of working out. I have two stability perks. Neither one is rated on the actual stat bars. So Rodeo and Counterbalance don't tell you what they're giving you. They simply adjust the way the gun fires, and you just got to figure it out. So if you get a gun that's got stuff like that, you got a double stability perk, but not ones that actually show the stability bar getting larger, try it. I would have normally just broken this gun down. I leveled it up. I tried it because it was my first Continental. 45 in the magazine. This thing, as you can see right now, shoots super steady. I'm doing almost nothing to counter the recoil. Just a slight bump down on the right stick. And trust me, and I'll just as a nod to PvP as well, that 45 in the magazine is priceless when you're taking down multiple enemies. This gun does perform really well. You don't hear a lot of people talking about the Vanguard Fusion.
I don't hear people talking about fusion rifles in general.
No, that's true.
You know,
also,
if it's not a sniper rifle or a shotgun, people don't want to acknowledge it. But I've never been a fan of snipers especially, but snipers or shotguns really in this game.
Well, and I think you're gonna. There's a few guys I want to give a little credit to, and I'm totally out of primary ammo. There's a few guys I'll give credit to. There's a YouTuber, the Jez, I like to watch. A lot of people watch True Vanguard, and those are guys that give love to some of the alternative secondary weapons. They'll talk about fusions. They'll talk about sidearms.
I do have to say that. Yeah, I do have to say that True Vanguard is one who's really good about, bringing light to fusion rifles and sidearms, because a lot of people say that they're worthless, but they're like my favorite secondaries.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, now using this at range is a little tough. That guy's quite a ways away from me, and that's where you notice some of the recoil causing a problem. Now, again, this weapon isn't intended to be used at range. It's intended to be used right there where you saw me take down that Vandal. That is not a problem at all as far as stability goes.
What?
But once you start reaching out, most auto rifles just let you down a little bit. I gotta say too, before setting up this loadout today, I was not using this X Asterisk very much, and it's a shame. All right, again, just kind of taking the opportunity to use like the stability on this in this nice medium range. All right, let's jump back on the fusion rifle. I don't feel like I've given that quite enough love this match. This has gone by a little faster than I thought.
And
Yeah, it shoots really smooth. I wouldn't mind having a little bit better of a stability perk for this, but I will say that it's enough. It's a pretty vertical recoil. It's really controllable. I mean, hip fire and scoped fire both are pretty vertical. So aim at their nuts, and it should do the rest for you. So final verdict: you went in there with the X Asterisk and the How Dare You. What are your thoughts on those in a normal PvE setting? That wasn't a Nightfall. That wasn't a heroic strike. It wasn't a raid. You're just playing the game. You could have been on patrol. You could have been at a story mission. How did that feel?
the X Asterisk actually felt good, for being the lower impact archetype. Yeah, with the fast charge rate, the lower impact. I think I think small bore helped out a lot on it because the range and stability really came into play. But it actually felt better than I thought it would. Saying as it's the lower end of fusion rifles.
I agree. It's the same archetype as the Ether Nova. I'm comparing them right now. So it's the same archetype as the Ether Nova. Mm-hmm. Ether Nova's got a touch more impact, but it's that same family.
It actually felt really well. I mean, there were some things that I had to hit twice with it that I didn't feel should have required a second shot from a fusion rifle, but still overall it did what I needed it to do, and the charge rate's fast enough to where you can actually get that second shot off without feeling like you're panicking. The How Dare You, it's still in that weird place where I don't know, I don't really know why they decided that this archetype of hand cannon needed to exist. Found myself missing a lot of shots that really shouldn't have missed, even though it's supposed to have better target acquisition.
I totally agree with you on the X Asterisk. I really like it. I think it's an archetype that's underused. I think it performed really well overall. I mean, its base range is great. Its base stability is okay. So you need a stability perk, but it doesn't have to be a major one. The reload speed is awesome because that counters my one complaint, and that's the 4 in the mag. For a lower impact fusion rifle, 4 in the magazine is a problem. You're gonna get into trouble when you're reloading. You may have seen that happen to me a couple times in the video where I had to jump out and back out of a situation because I was reloading, and that's a small issue. But overall, I think it's worth having one. If you get one that drop, it's nice. Keep it, use it. It'll definitely treat you right in PvE. And I think you could make this work in PvP if you're slick with a fusion rifle. I mean, obviously you can't afford to miss a bolt, but this thing will do damage. It'll kill them with one shot if you hit them all. The Continental, I think you said it earlier. I mean, auto rifles in general are in kind of a really terrible place, and I use it for fun factor. I'm really comfortable with it, and I've had a tremendous amount of success with it, even in PvP. But overall, you're gonna get people say that these are not These aren't the way to go. This isn't the gun type to use. Get a pulse rifle, get a hand cannon. But if you want to mix it up, if you want to have fun, pay attention to the perks, try it out. I really think you can get one of these that'll be effective, especially in a player versus environment situation. I've used this in the hardest of strikes, the Nightfall, raids, and done quite well. Just make sure you know the difference between this and some of the more popular gun types and the way that it needs to play. You're not going to be in anybody's face, and you're also not going to sit back and snipe. I think with what we showed today, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Maybe pass on the How Dare You, but definitely give the Continental and the X Asterisk a try, and do not overlook what the Vanguard has in store. Next time we'll pick another vendor. We'll show you what other people might not be showing you as far as outside the meta, outside the norm, and try and help you have a little bit of fun.